This is a really over-the-top story here. This has to do with a teenager who loved sports. He loved basketball, he loved video games, and his family wanted to honor the things that he enjoyed during his life. They wanted the people at the wake, or the quiet hour, as some cultures will call it, which is the service the night before the funeral in most cases, or it may be the day before the funeral. However, they wanted to honor him in the same way that he lived. They wanted people to remember him that way. And so what they did was they positioned his corpse in the chair facing the television screen and a video game controller in his hand, and he had his favorite snacks around him. They said that's how he lived. That's what he did every day. He was just a chill kind of guy, and that's how they wanted him to be represented. His name was Renard Matthews. He was 18. He lived in New Orleans, Louisiana. He was robbed and shot to death on June 25th, which is very sad. He was a really young guy, so that's sad that that happened. And it happened while he was walking his dog. The neighbors describe him as a very nice young man who really loved sports, particularly football and basketball. And his favorite athlete was the Celtics guard, Kyrie Irving. And they said that he lived a peaceful life. He lived a very low-key lifestyle, and they wanted to just present that faithful reflection of him. And so they had him embalmed, and they had him placed in a stance that was typical for him. His family members would come in the house, and this is how they would see him: laid back, relaxed, playing his games and eating his snacks. And so they positioned him that way. They had the specialist to come in after he was embalmed. They seated him in the chair. They put the Irving jersey on him, the sunglasses, and his PlayStation controller in his hand. And they faced him towards the television and put all his favorite snacks around him, his Doritos and his soda. And that's something that this funeral home is accustomed to doing. They said that they get requests like this all the time. And one time they said that they had a drummer who was in a band, and he passed away. And so they put him in front of his drum set, and his family liked that. The name of this funeral home is Charbonnet Labont Glopian Funeral Home, and it's in Tremé. And they said that they can pretty much embalm a person and have specialists come in and do whatever they want, whatever the family requests. And they said the cost depends on exactly what you want. I can only imagine how much something like this costs, because a regular funeral will run you $10,000, maybe $20,000, up to $20,000, depending on what all you have them do. The fancier the casket, the more it's going to cost. And in this case, it's not even a casket, which I would assume that even though they position the bodies this way, they would still need a casket before they go in the ground. So I'm pretty sure this is costly. So the same funeral home, they also did this for a lady named Miriam, who was known as May, and she was 53 years old, and she was out of Burbank. And Miriam was a party girl. She liked to party. She liked to have fun. And it was common to see her posted up with her beer and her cigarette and her ashtray sitting at her table. And she was also a sports enthusiast. She loved the New Orleans Saints. And so she had her fingernails painted the team colors, which is black and gold. And her relatives sat her up at the table, and that's how her quiet hour went. Her sister said that she loved beer and she loved scotch, and she said when she walked into the quiet hour, she said she felt like she was at her sister's house. She felt her sister's warmth, and she said it didn't hurt as bad because she saw her sister in the element that she would see her when she was alive, which was sitting around with her alcohol, her cigarettes, and sitting there partying, had her music going or watching her sports. And so her sister loved it. Her daughter said that she decided to do this for her mom because she wanted to remember her mom the way she was. But she said not all the family members agreed with it, and but that was okay with her. They just had to deal with it because she said this was the way they had it set up at the wake is just the way her mom would have been had she still been alive. So people are doing this, and this is called extreme embalming. And the whole idea of it is to honor the deceased person in a personalized way. However they would have lived, if you want to, want people to remember them like that all the way to the end, then they'll do it for you for a particular price. And this is very popular in Puerto Rico. Very, very popular. And so it kind of started over there, and it just has won the attention of people around the world. And so it's the latest thing. To me, it's bizarre. It's weird. I wouldn't. I don't even think I would attend a service if I knew someone that was being sent off this way. I probably wouldn't go, because to me it's creepy. It's very creepy. Uh, if I knew someone who played golf and they loved golf, and I walked into the funeral and they have them standing there with a golf club, that wouldn't work for me. I love crafts. I like to do crafts. I like to make things. I don't want my funeral or my wake me sitting at the table doing crafts. That's just weird. That reminds me more of a museum or something. That to me, that's creepy and that's weird. I personally, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't attend to a funeral like this. I just don't think you have to go to such extremes, because if I know someone, everyone I know, my family members, my friends, even coworkers, if you talk to someone and you're around someone enough, you know what their interests are. You know they love to swim. You know they love to go get their hair done. You know they love to hang out with their friends. Whatever their interest is, we already know that. That's good enough for me. That's good enough. That's what the 2 minutes or whatever it is they give you to say something nice about the person. That's what that's for. To sit up and say something pleasant. Oh, I remember every time I would come to his house, he was playing his video games and eating his snacks. That's enough. But to actually see it, to see him sitting there, no. That, to me, that's just weird. That's just weird to me. I remember one of my aunts passed away, and her funeral was in Kansas City, and they had a drive-through. You can drive up to the window and you can look in at the person. The way they had the window set up was like a bay window, and it looked directly into the funeral services. And so people who didn't want to come in for whatever reason, there's some people who are, elderly, and they it would be too much for them to get out of the car and all of that. So you can drive up. Now, my aunt's funeral was not that way, but they offered the services at that funeral home. But we didn't do that. And of course that costs more. But I thought that was strange. A drive-up funeral? I thought that was really strange. But this takes the case right here. One lady, I'll end with this. One lady in the comment section, when I was reading this article, she said that she told her husband that she wants to do this. She wants to do this extreme embalming like these people did. But she said that she wants him to sit her in the audience. So she wants to sit in the audience at her own funeral. Imagine that. You come to the funeral, your deceased loved one is sitting there. You're at the funeral for her, but she's sitting there. I just thought that was hilarious. I said she would probably be in their funeral home all by herself. Because I don't think anybody would show up at their funeral if the deceased person is sitting there. So let me know what you think. Is this over the top? Is this something you would do? Is this something that you'd be willing to do for a family member if they requested it while they were alive? Because I wouldn't. If my husband or one of my family members requests it, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. That's one request they're not going to get from me. So let me know. Let me know your thoughts. Please thumbs up this video. Hit that notification bell in the upper right corner so that you'll be notified every time I upload a video. And please subscribe to my channel.